Fellas, ladies, it's that time. Arsenal versus Olympiakos, second leg, Thursday at the Emirates. And we should be enjoying that we've been putting on such an amazing display. Guys, what we've been doing away from home in the league, in the Europa Cup, it's been fantastic. Remember, I think it was something like 4, 5 months before we had a real decent result away from home. Emery couldn't get it right. Wenger couldn't get it right. And Arteta's managed to crack the one, actually two, if you think about defensively. He's been managed to crack two major problems that Arsenal have been suffering through over the last few years, just in a space of a couple of months. Extraordinary, wouldn't you say? And people are talking about instant success. Remember, even when Emery went through his run, he still struggled away from home. You know, it was more so the home wins that he was really starting to bag and get right. So big props and kudos to Mikel Arteta. And what this does is it sets us up. But before we talk about the Olympiakos game, let's look at a few injuries that are coming back. Kieran Tierney came back into training this week, and Cedric Soares is due to come back next week. So within a week or so, guys, we're going to have both of them back in training. And obviously their fitness levels are going to be increased. And I'm sure that maybe Tierney has a chance to make the FA Cup game against Portsmouth next week, Monday. But I think Soares will probably be a bit short on that game, so I wouldn't expect him to play a part. But it's good news, guys, that we're getting two defenders back. Inconsistency with Bellerin, although Niles hasn't really played, and he's been playing really well. So, but at left back, it's a little bit more difficult. Klasnach now, he's hurt his shoulder, and he looks like he's going to be out long term. The prognosis isn't good, and it is a long-term injury. He could be out for another couple of months. And it's a shame because he's just come back from being off for 6 weeks. And to go straight into this, really heartbreaking for the player. But listen, we move on. And we're talking about now Olympiakos, a team that we've faced 4 times. We've won 3 of them. The only loss came, which was a 2-3 loss at home in 2015-2016 season. And if we suffer that fate on Thursday, then we're going to be out because they would have scored 3 away goals. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we've been really solid at the back. And I think the game is now open to Arsenal to dominate because they know they need 2 goals. Olympiakos cannot afford to sit back and allow Arsenal to play. And if they charge out at Arsenal, then Arsenal's got that quick counter-attack on the left and the right-hand side. Strike quick, whether that would probably be with Lacazette that we're going to go with. But it would be quick strikes with him and Aubameyang, and the game could be all over. If Arsenal score first, then Olympiakos is going to need 3 goals in order to go through, and it's just going to make it a mountain to climb. So I would love to see Arsenal get the first goal and go ahead and bag that one and try and get this tie over and done with. For Olympiakos, Ruben Semedo, the centre-back, which we talked about last week, who was booked, he's going to miss this game. And he's one of their most influential players, so they're going to sadly miss him. And Arsenal would be able to expose that as well, in terms of running in behind the defence, playing the ball through the middle, 1-2s. But I think that's something that will allow us to get ahead of the game and then get the first goal. But the one thing, guys, I have to say is, this is really Arsenal's chance to get through into the Champions League next year. And let's talk about that a bit because it's quite important. The Metro now is reporting that Alexandre Lacazette has finalised a trigger in his contract that allows him to leave if the team doesn't make the Champions League next season. But Lacazette has finalised a deal with the front office that if we don't make the Champions League, he's free to leave and join somebody else. And seriously, guys, after seeing the displays this season of Eddie Nketiah, pure love if you haven't seen the video that I've done of him, and Gabriel Martinelli, if those guys get more playing time, they'll be able to fill in and facilitate for the loss of Lacazette. After what Lacazette have really given us, I don't think that we'll be missing him that badly if those guys step up and then we can hand it over. And plus, look, if we sell him, then we're going to be in the market. He won't come cheap. After this season, Lacazette's got 2 years left on his deal. So it's not like he's going to be going for, 30, 40 million or something like that. He'll be going for some real dollars and Arsenal will be able to recuperate. Strikers are not ten a penny in Europe right now. They're in demand, and Lacazette would be one of them. Look, he'll get you 20 goals a season. If he goes back to France, he will score 30 goals a season. So it really depends whether Atletico still want him or whether anyone is interested in getting Lacazette. Look, if he wants to play Champions League football and we can't get it done, you got to hold your hands up and give the guy what he needs to. He's put in a couple of good years here. Same with Aubameyang as well, guys. Look, Aubameyang will be 31 years old next season. If he wants to go and play in the Champions League, who are we to stop them for living their dreams? The fact that we haven't been good enough, we've got no right to say, you should stay here, you belong here at Arsenal. It's down to the players. If you respect their wishes and they want to play in the Champions League, then let them do it. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. But with Lacazette, the fact that this agreement has been made, and remember, this is unconfirmed at the moment, it's only been reported in the Metro, but if it's true, then look, you know, pat on the back, thanks for the memories, and thanks for the shimmies and all the dancing and all of that, and then go on your way, and then we'll move on. And that's just the way how it is. And Eddie Nketiah then will have the keys to the car and he can drive this thing as far as he can. We've seen it happen with the likes of Marcus Rashford at Man United. There is nothing saying that we cannot develop a young striker at Arsenal Football Club in that reign. It just is that it's just down to us to give them a chance to shine and then for the fans to back them, and then away we go. So, guys, look, I'm going to go for a 2-0 when I really don't think Olympiakos is going to score, and I think Arsenal's going to have a couple of goals. I think we're going to put this one to bed. And for me, guys, I think that this is all about us chilling for a bit. We know how knackered the team was. 3 games in 7 days last week. Monday, they had a nice relaxing day and game planning for Olympiakos in terms of what they're going to deliver. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win against Olympiakos, and then we can look forward to seeing a little bit more kids against Portsmouth in the FA Cup, because look, Arteta hasn't really been rotating as much as we thought he would, because he is playing strong teams in the Europa as well as in the league, and I would expect him to do it in the FA Cup. In the last FA Cup game, he went full tilt. We've seen Emery, we've seen Wenger over the years play the youth academy players. It doesn't seem like Arteta favours that. He just isn't sold on playing that at all. If there's a chance to win silverware, he's going to take it. Liverpool does that to an extent. United does that. Chelsea definitely does that. Manchester City definitely does that, although one can argue that their squad is just so world-class because of the amount of money they paid for it. So I would expect Mikel Arteta, if you're driven and you want to succeed and you're ambitious, then you would do that. You would strive to win everything that you can. And I think from that standpoint, I wouldn't blame Arteta if he's just playing his big guns in every game. And that means the likes of Aubameyang, it means the likes of David Luiz. But at the same time, I would still want to see what Pablo Mari has got to offer. I would expect Pablo Mari to play against Portsmouth, if I'm honest, as well as Maitland-Niles, a few other players as well. Guendouzi will play, Torreira will play, Martinelli will play, Reece Nelson would play. So I expect the FA Cup game against Portsmouth next week, Monday, would be a sort of a strong side, but still just giving the main players a rest and also being able to put out a strong team so we can make it through to the next round there as well. So guys, listen, thanks for joining the channel. I'm going to leave it right there. 2-0 Olympiakos against Arsenal. I think Arsenal's going to fly through. And when you consider we went through against Napoli without even letting a goal in 2 legs last season. And this team can do it. They can get it done. But it's just, can they finish the job? And we all know what happened in Baku last year. And I think Mikel Arteta will put that right. Yeah. So let's take the advantage that we can and try and win this. 5th place would be nice in the Premiership. But the Europa Cup is in our hands. That's the one that if we win all of those games and go straight to the final and win that, that will bag the Champions League for us. And then we won't need to finish 5th. It will really alleviate a lot of pressure in the league from these guys. And really, as I said, I've not really been looking for anything in the league. For me, the league is just making sure that Arteta grooms the team and gets them ready for next season for a title challenge. And that depends a lot on what happens in the summer as far as who goes out and who comes in as well. So listen, leave it right there, guys. Thanks for joining the channel. Right back at you, and peace out. Nice one. Back your team.